be the envy of the world. So I come here today with one simple message. I hope and wish that Scotland will vote to remain part of the United Kingdom. That's not because I want to dragoon Scotland into an arrangement that is in my interests, or frankly, in my party's interests. I know the Conservative Party isn't currently, how can I put this, Scotland's most influential political movement. I'm often reminded that I've been more successful in helping to get pandas to the zoo than Conservative MPs elected in Scotland. So more than a little humility is called for when any contemporary Tory speaks in Scotland. In fact, some say it might be wiser not to speak at all. As well as avoiding any criticism from the press or politicians from other parties for interfering, it might be thought wise of me to just let Scotland, in every sense, go its own way. And some people, not all of them Conservatives, have suggested that an independent Scotland might make it easier for my party to get a majority in Westminster. But that doesn't interest me. I'm not here to make a case on behalf of my party, its interests, or its approach to office. I'm here to stand up and speak out for what I believe in. I believe in the United Kingdom. I'm a unionist head, heart and soul. I believe that England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, we are stronger together than we ever would be apart. It is time to speak out, whatever the consequences, because something very special is in danger. The ties that bind us in the place that we call home. The danger comes from the determination of the Scottish National Party to remove Scotland from our shared home. Now, it's absolutely right that since the SNP won the Scottish elections, they should be able to determine the business of the Scottish Parliament and the agenda of the Scottish Government. They want to put the question of independence to the Scottish people, and their ultimate ambition is clear. They want Scotland to leave the United Kingdom. And it's right, too, that the choice over independence should be for the Scottish people to make. But that choice shouldn't be made, with its consequence for all of us, without explaining why I believe in the United Kingdom and why it matters to so many of us. Now, let me be clear, though. I'm not going to stand here and suggest that Scotland couldn't make a go of being on its own, if that is what people decide. There are plenty of small, independent nation-states of a similar size or even smaller. Scotland could make its way in the world alongside countries like those. Of course, every country in the world is facing new challenges, and an independent Scotland would itself need to confront some big issues. There are those who argue about the volatility of dependence on oil, or the problems of debt and a big banking system. And there is, for some smaller nations, the risk that independence can actually lead to greater dependence. Certainly, today Scotland has a currency, the pound, that takes into account the needs of the Scottish economy, as well as the rest of the United Kingdom, when setting interest rates. And it can borrow on rates that are amongst the lowest in Europe. An independent Scotland would have to negotiate in future for things it now gets as of right. But these challenges and the need to overcome them, they are not my point today. My argument is simple. Of course, Scotland could govern itself. So could England. My point is that we do it so much better together. I can, and I will, enumerate a number of practical reasons for our United Kingdom. But the reason I make the case is partly emotional. Because this is a question of the heart as well as the head. The United Kingdom isn't just some sort of deal to be reduced to the lowest common denominator. It's a precious thing. It's about our history, our values, our shared identity, and our joint place in the world. I'm not just proud of the Union because it's useful. I'm proud because it shapes and strengthens us all. Just think of what we have achieved together. Scotland has contributed to the greatest political, cultural and social success story of the last 300 years. The creation and flourishing of a United Kingdom built on freedom and inclusivity. Individual nations can, of course, adhere around ancient myths, blood-soaked memories, and opposition to others. But we have built in the United Kingdom something that also coheres around the values embodied in standing up for freedom and democracy around the globe, in free healthcare for all, in a generous welfare system for the poorest, and championing the most vulnerable on the world stage. A United Kingdom which is not monoglot, monochrome and minimalist, but multinational, multicultural and modern in every way. Our United Kingdom. Founded on the strengths, yes, of our constitutional monarchy, our parliamentary democracy and the rule of law, but it's also the birthplace of the NHS, the BBC and Christian Aid. We have shared achievements that more than match those of any country anywhere in the world. From Waterloo to the Second World War, our servicemen and women have fought and won together. The liberation of Europe was a battle fought to the skirt of the pipes, as Lord Lovat's Highlanders were among the first ashore on D-Day in the battle to defeat Hitler. Your heroes are our heroes. Men like Robert Dunsire, who twice in one day crawled out of the trench facing a hail of bullets to rescue injured men at the Battle of Loos in the First World War. And Lance Corporal Liam Tasker, the dog handler who helped save so many lives in Afghanistan before tragically himself being shot. The Union has never been about shackling different nations. It is a free partnership, a joint effort, often driven by Scottish ideas and Scottish leadership. From the industrial and commercial leadership of James Watt and Robert Owen centuries ago to Sir Bill Gamble and Ian Wood today. And in Westminster, think of the cause of progress and how it's depended on the voices of politicians from Scotland, whether it's been the liberalism of Henry Campbell Bannerman or Joe Grimmond, the progressive conservatism of Ian MacLeod and George Younger, or the generous and humane radicalism of Donald Dewar and John Smith. Together, we have turned a group of offshore European islands into one of the most successful countries in the world. But it's not just about what we have achieved together. It's about who we are together. The ties of blood are actually growing thicker. Far from growing apart, we are growing together. There are now more Scots living in England and English people living in Scotland than ever before. And almost half of Scots now have English relatives. I'm something of a classic case. My father's father was a Cameron. My mother's mother was a Llewellyn. I was born and have always lived in England. I'm proud to be English, but like so many others too, I'm proud to be British as well. Proud of the United Kingdom and proud of Scotland's place within it. But then there are the practical reasons for the Union to stay together. The United Kingdom helps to make Scotland, and all of us, stronger, safer, richer and fairer. We're stronger because through our shared union, we count for more together in the world than we would ever count apart. We have a permanent place on the UN Security Council. We have real clout in NATO and in Europe. We have unique influence with key allies the world over. The Scottish pilots helped us to free Libya from tyranny and prevented a failed pariah state festering on Europe's southern border. We're safer, not just because of the expertise and bravery of our armed forces, to which Scotland has always made such an immense contribution, but also because of our policing expertise and our security services respected the world over. When that bomb went off at Glasgow Airport, the full resources of the UK state went into running down every lead, and our tentacles reached from the border areas of Afghanistan and Pakistan, as well as into the CIA computers at Langley. Now we're richer because Scotland's 5 million people are part of an economy of 60 million, an economy with no boundaries, borders or customs, but instead a common system of common rules and a common currency, which has helped to make us the 7th largest economy in the world. And far from growing apart, again, our economies are actually growing together. A fifth of all Scottish workers are employed by firms registered in Scotland, but owned by companies based elsewhere in the United Kingdom. And Scotland sells twice as much to the rest of the UK as to the rest of the world put together. And together we're not only stronger, safer, richer, I also believe we're fairer. Not just because we all benefit from being part of a properly funded welfare system with the resources to fund our pensions and our long-term healthcare needs, but because there is real solidarity in our United Kingdom. When any part of the United Kingdom suffers a shock or a setback, the rest of the country stands behind it. Whether it's floods in the West Country, severe weather in the North, or that economic dislocation that has hit different parts of our country in different times and in different ways, we are always there for each other. And together we have the power to do so much in the world to promote fairness. One issue that's close to my heart is aid. And this is an issue where Scottish people have a huge influence. Together as a United Kingdom, we have the second biggest aid budget in the world. Through the UK, Scotland has a global reach to make our world fairer. And with that, we are saving thousands of lives and helping people in some of the poorest parts of the world to forge a new future. From the famine in the Horn of Africa to support for people in North Africa and the Middle East as they seek new freedoms that we and others take for granted. So I believe there are emotional and practical reasons why Scotland is better off in the Union and why we're all better off together than apart. But I don't think that is enough.